Because the universe is always in communication with you. When you practice being present, you're able to pick up on the subtleties, and that's literally what happened for me. I've been thinking about the season that I'm currently in. Solitude as a form of course correction is where I'm at. We gonna get into that. The way that I was showing up before, I would get these little bursts of inspiration. I didn't feel fully comfortable showing up as my full self. I would give bits and pieces, downloads that I would have, but not really showing up in the fullness of myself. I had a visibility wound, and this was actually spoken about with my mentor. My inner child did not feel safe. You tend to not want to be seen. Having this visibility wound and being a practitioner couldn't coexist, or I felt like it couldn't. I didn't want to give too much away because then people would really see me. At the time, I didn't want to be seen in a disempowered state. And I say the air quotes because it really wasn't that. I just didn't want to be seen as vulnerable because I didn't think that folks would be able to accept that part of me. I had to sit with that this was spilling into other areas of my life. Last year in 2025, I was going through a transitional period. I was a waitress, and the location that I was in, it was very high class, fancy vibes. And I'm used to being in that environment, but I also felt like I couldn't really be myself there. I had to shield my personality a bit, tone it down. And that also happens in corporate environments as well, which I've also worked in. All around, I just felt like I had to be in hiding, I guess, because I'm always speaking up against things that I see that's wrong. I voice my opinion on things that I feel like could use refinement, a bit of structure for the betterment of the employees. They didn't like that. I was let go from that job. A few days later, I actually got accepted into a mentorship program that's for 6 months. I didn't have a chance to really sit in that celebratory feel because I had just lost my job. I was trying to figure out how I was going to make money. I mean, we all talk about a regulated nervous system, but a part of that is knowing where you're going to get some money from, right? And so I didn't really get a chance to sit in the fact that, wow, I was actually accepted into a program that is going to help me bring my business to the next level, really get the structure that I need for Fondove healing and run the play. I wasn't in the mindset that, okay, now that I'm released from that job, I have time to really lock in. That mentorship program was absolutely beautiful, but it took me some time to really be able to sit with the fact that this is where spirit wants me to be right now. I just wasn't there. I was checked out, and I wasn't able to be present. That's what it is. Something had to shift. Ended up doing a ceremony with my mentor, my spiritual teacher. This was back in March of 2025. And to sum it up, spiritually, I was exhausted. You don't realize how much that you suppress or just hold it down because you have to do everything else. You have to show up as you. You have to show up as an employee. You have to show up as a caregiver. You have to show up as whatever title that you want to insert there. But I wasn't showing up for me. So at this ceremony, it was revealed that I'm being asked to pour into myself in a totally different way with way more intention than I've ever poured into myself before. Cracked my heart wide open because when you on go mode so much, you don't realize the subtleties that you miss because you feel like you have to stay on go. And that's where I was at. In our mentorship program, I'm currently unemployed, so I'm thinking about that, but I still muster up the courage to go and do this ceremony. That was the highlight of 2025 because I needed to instill structure. So the mentorship instilled structure for me on the entrepreneurial level, but then I needed to instill structure with how I start my day and what I choose to give my energy to. I did either like a 6 or 8 week lock-in. Changed the way I ate. Every single morning I did Reiki. I did my breath work. If I wasn't journaling, I would do voice notes just to get it out. I'm checking in with me first. And all of these things allowed me to instill more discipline. It's one thing to be structured on the business side. I wasn't pouring into myself the way that I should have been. I had to reframe how I look at timing and alignment. When you're in a flow state, or the phase right before the flow state, something subtle that you start to see how you get opportunities to show up as the fullness of yourself, opportunities to grow in a way that isn't necessarily tangible, but you can feel. And that's what started to happen. These little doorways that allowed me to really tap in with my highest self. I was operating from a disempowered state before. My mind was all over the place. My body and my spirit wasn't really in tune with one another. The more that I got into more routines, and I'm doing more herbal baths, and I'm doing a bit of candle work, and I'm breathing from my diaphragm, and I'm doing my Reiki as soon as I get up, and I'm putting on the gospel music, creating the environment that would allow me to show up, keep me centered and grounded. This is the phase before the flow state. When I started to recognize the bits of growth that may not be visible yet to other people, but I felt it in my spirit. The structure that led to the consistency lets the universe know that you're open to more. Yeah. When you pour into yourself, that self-love, that self-care, because the universe is always in communication with you. It's just so subtle that sometimes we miss it. You practice being present, you're able to pick up on the subtleties, and that's literally what happened for me. I've really been in a state of gratitude. I'm able to show up as my full self. My creativity has blossomed so much. That's a part of why I made this channel. It's important to document. Not even necessarily to document for other people, but to document my growth and my process for me. Be able to say, hey, I remember this time last year, 2025, I was here, and now 2026, I'm here. When I did my ceremony in March of 2025, and now we're in February, I'm in such a totally different space. And I am so grateful, because all I really had to do was be more patient and more kind with myself while building that structure so that my mind, body, and spirit can be on the same plane. When I think about this flow state that we all want to get to, right? Like the phase before the flow state is quiet. Allow that solitude to be your course correction. That's what's happening with me. I'm learning to respect the build, learning to respect the build and not really rush the blossom. That can't be forced. Intuitively work through and work with what my body has been trying to tell me energetically, and it allows me to show up more fully as a practitioner as well, because as a Reiki practitioner, when I'm from people's energies and things and helping them course correct, right, I have to be able to show up fully as well. That's where I'm at. That's where I've been. And my spiritual assignment is so lengthy, but so is the wisdom that is imparted to me. And I understand that appreciate the journey when it's slow, because when the abundance and the prosperity and the sustenance for that comes along, I'll be better equipped because I know what it was like in a slow season. And slow season doesn't mean that you're not harvesting any fruit, more so more time to work on you. So when you get those downloads, you're going to know exactly how to move when you're given more. Yeah. Learn to appreciate those moments of silence and solitude. When God sits you down, appreciate the rest, appreciate the quiet, because that's what I've been doing. Take care.